Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV here in Frederick, Colorado. My name's Taylor, and today we're going to be going over a new 2024 Newmar Bay Star Sport. This is the 3225. It could sleep up to 5 people. And the meaning of the Bay Star is kind of just Newmar tried to build a gas motorhome just for convenience and also a little bit of comfort. So we're gonna go ahead and take a walk around the outside, and then we'll go ahead and end off on the inside. So let's go ahead and get onto it. All right, starting up over here, this is on a Ford V8. We do have a nice little blind spot. When you turn that blinker on, it'll kind of show you your blind spot. So some nice comfortability while you're driving there. And then right on over to our Continental tires. And then we have our rims. This little latch here is just for your door, so it doesn't have to get whipped around in some high winds. So you can kind of keep it propped open if you'd like. I do have our Carefree awning out and about. I was hoping that it would shade me a little bit more, but didn't have the right angle there. But we do have our LED strip on the inside. Once it's fully out, it's pointing towards your coach, so it'll really help light up that campground. We have a nice little grab bar as we enter the coach. This is for that little latch system, so it's just plastic. You go ahead and latch it in there, but you do have a nice little bumper, so you don't have to worry about the door slamming into your beautiful full body paint. Right here is just the 3225, so this is the floor plan. It's 32 feet, 11 inches long, and then the floor plan specifically is that 25, again, which sleeps up to 5. As for our exterior graphics here, this one is calls the Chester graphic. So it's a little bit of the gray, white, and black. So nothing too flashy, very sleek, a little bit modern feel. But let's just go ahead and go into our first baggage door here, which does have a lock mechanism on all of them. And then to the right there, we just have our Xantrax inverter, and then a little storage next to it. Nice little double bay here. It is through and through. And in our next bay here, again, just another storage area, nice and carpeted. I like how the bay doors do prop open pretty high, so it's not a standard door that's like this. So when this slide is out, it does kind of obstruct that, but when your slide's in, it's kind of nice that you have full accessibility. You don't really have to crouch down. So I appreciate that. And then just another door here. This one is both of these bays together, that last previous one that I had open. It is a nice through and through here. So for those larger items, you can go ahead and slide them in diagonally to kind of fit them in there. Alrighty. And then this one opens up all the way. It's a little bit higher, so it gives you a little bit more room here. And then you have some extra tile just in case anything happens to yours. Complimentary of Newmar. We just have our Suburban heater outlet here, so it will get a little hot. And then on over to our Cummins Onan QG 5500 gas generator. This is the ultra quiet, but it is running right now because I have that AC running. So whatever you can hear, it gives you a little taste of how loud the generator is. And then once we get in the inside, you can barely hear it. This one's mainly kind of like an access door just because our fresh water tank's back here, but if you wanted to have some storage kind of shoved in there, you can. Our freshwater capacity is 75 gallons, since we kind of are already talking about that. And then this is our last bay door here. And then before we go to the rear, I just wanted to get another little glimpse of that paint scheme, since our awning was kind of messing up a little bit of that. So just so you can kind of get, again, that silver, gray, and black. Very beautiful paint, full body paint. All right, we'll go ahead and start from the top. And we have our backup camera, the nice little Bay Star Sport logo with our Newmar emblem in the back. Huge back rear window, whatever you'd like to call it. And then we have our exterior ladder here. This is just our exhaust for that generator. So it's kind of shooting on in the back. No obstruction while you are up front in camp. So it is on the passenger side, but you don't have to worry about the exhaust kind of smoking you out a bit. And then for our hitch, we have a 5,000 pound towing capacity. All right, let's go ahead and pop on over to the driver's side now. We got a little shade. All right, and our first bay door here, we just have our 50 amp shore power cord in there. Another storage area. We have our 80-gallon gas fuel tank right here. Some more storage. Plenty of storage all the way around. Here is our wet bay. So again, I was letting you guys know we have 75 gallons of fresh water. We got 60 gallons for gray, and then a total of 40 gallons for our black. We have a nice little label for each and everything right here. So we have our fresh water connection, our black tank rinse, and then we just go ahead and turn on the valve here on and off. Super straightforward. This little gadget here is just a nice little heating pad for your freshwater tanks and your gray tanks, so you don't have to worry about any freeze damage if you happen to come through some colder temperatures. And these kind of connect here, so I just want to have both of them open at the same time, and then you just have your dumps right over there. So you'll go ahead and connect that hose, slinky it through if you have full hookups or if you just needed a dump. This is the bay that it's in. Perfect. And then directly above our wet bay, kind of diagonally in a way, we have our dinette, so our water heater for that on-demand water. Get both of these open again. So here, another situation for a nice little double bay here, nice and wide. And then our hose there for winterizing for the siphoning valve. And then we just have our batteries here. So these are the Interstate Deep Cycle. We have a total of 4 batteries here, and it is on a nice little reel. So if you go ahead and unlatch it, you can pull them out just to make sure everything's good there, or if you wanted to go ahead and service them yourself, they're pretty accessible. And for the last bay here, nothing too crazy. We just have our huge propane tank, which is gonna be 25 gallons. And this is going to be for your cooktop as well as your heater. And then we'll go ahead and slide up in the front, so you can get a nice view here. But this is on that Ford F53 chassis, and it's a 7.3 liter V8 engine producing 350 horsepower there, 350 horsepower, 6-speed automatic transmission, and then again with a 80-gallon fuel tank. But yeah, our chassis and everything's up here. You can go ahead and just pull the hinge to open it up, but nothing too crazy there. Let's just go ahead and get on into the good stuff and hop inside. Alrighty, I'll go ahead and let you guys enter first so I can close this door so we can keep the cool in. And sorry, I know it's a little dark right now. Let me go ahead and grab the lights for you. I did put down all the shades so we don't have any glares. All right, but right now with the slides closed, you can see we still have a nice little walking area here. You kind of have to do a sideways shuffle, but you can reach all the way in the back here to access your fridge. So you can go ahead and grab a soda, anything you need, some snacks. And then this is the bathroom door, so you can also access the bathroom while it's closed. Another cool feature you can't really see, we'll get to it a little later, but this slide, the bed, you can still access the bed. You don't have to worry about bringing that slide out. It doesn't fold or anything like that. So I'll go ahead and slowly start opening up these slides. I'll start from the back here, and then we'll work our way up front. But it's kind of nice if you needed to pull over and kind of take a nap or rest. You don't have to worry about bringing out your slide. And it's also nice because this floor plan has a king-size bed. So again, it's 32 feet long, pretty spacious in our master bedroom, decent-sized kitchen, and you could sleep up to 5. Alrighty, perfect. That one's completely open. Now let's go ahead and get the other 2 slides open. All right. Go ahead and do the driver's side, full wall slide. Get those accent lights on. Really opens up the place having that full wall slide, and then we have one more over here on the passenger side that will open up for you guys. Perfect. Now we'll go ahead and we'll go and start in the rear. So here's that big beautiful window I was discussing earlier. It's the only one that I kind of kept open just to kind of show you, but I love how these shades kind of look like curtains in a way, and it's also on a nice little string, so it kind of makes it easier for it to stay in place while you're going down the road. If you want to black out all of these, you don't have to worry about any hitting against the window or any other noises. So I like how this is pretty stationary, and it just gives it a homier look as well. All right. With our king bed, we do have two little cabinets up above with some charging built inside here as well. And then we have a nice little countertop on either side with additional charging. We have the two USBs and then just a 12, that one 10 volt, there we go. And a little cubby there for any waters or bedside necessities. And then we do have windows that open on either side, so if you didn't want to run your AC, which you'll need to run the generator or be plugged in, then you can go ahead and just open up these windows here and get a nice little cross breeze. And then directly across from us, we have beautiful mirrors that kind of have like a frost tint to them. And huge hanging area. I mean, it's literally ginormous. I could fit in there if I needed to. And then we have drawers here. We just have a total of 5, and then one is just for all of our TV. Whoops. Go ahead and pull them all the way out so you can kind of see there. There we go. Nice and deep. The bottom ones have a little bit more storage, and that's the one where you have 3 of them. Same one here on top. And then down here is just for those TV receivers. Geez, if I can open it, sorry. There we go. So you can go ahead and slide those in there. And then you have another window here, which also duals as an emergency exit, so you don't have an actual screen built in there, but if you needed to open that up, you can as well. And then up above we have our Samsung TV. Our slide out controller is going to be right here, and then I'm sorry, I didn't have the accent lights on in here as well. But here's all our light switches, and then we have the high and low. And then the pocket door is built in here, so if you want to go ahead and close the door, give yourself some privacy while you have other people if you're hosting. And then these are just little sensors that you'll see sporadically around the coach. That's going to help with the temperatures. So right now we have the AC on. There's a front and a rear AC, so kind of to help level that out. And then right over here we just have our touchscreen. Go ahead and hit the home button here. Just give you an overview of the time, the date, and everything else as far as your power, your tank capacities, and then some lights. And then right over here is your AGS, so you can see that our generator is running, the charge that we're at, and then here are for the 2 ACs and the heater control. So right now I have it on and it's set to 68, and we're at 69 degrees in the front. In the rear, we are exactly at the temperature we set it to. And then we just have all of our light features here, which is separated into the living room, kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom. But if you want to just go ahead and turn them all off, you just have to click this button right here and it'll turn them all off for you. All right, working our way down here, we have our mid bath. As you can see, the toilet down there to your right of you, plenty of storage area, counter space in that corner with some charging, and then additional storage space up above. And then for our shower, we do have a nice little glass door with the latches. So you have a latch right here, so you can kind of keep it open so you don't have to worry about anything sliding around while you're going down the road. And then you have the option of kind of taking this off. If you are trying to save your water, it's kind of nice just to come in and rinse off your feet if you need to, or kind of do, you know, get wet, lather up, and then rinse off to kind of help save that water capacity. But then you have a nice little skylight up here too, so for those taller folks, you have a little bit more headroom. And then you do have nice little cubbies sectioned off in there for all the soaps and all the things that you need for your shower. I know you kind of seen an overview of this already. I'm just going to go ahead and open it up so you can kind of see how much storage is actually in there. Nice little corner. And then over here, one side is mainly for storage, and then you just have all of your fuses and breakers on this side. And then you have a little handle here for your towel to dry your hands. And then right next to the toilet, you have a huge amount of storage, perfect for towels and TP. And directly underneath the sink, you have even more storage, and then this is where your toilet paper holder is. All right, now that we finished off here, we're just gonna go ahead and jump over here so I'm not missing anything. We have our pantry with a total of 4 shelves here. They're not adjustable, so they're just kind of built in there, a little bit more heavy duty, so you don't have to worry about any rattling as well. And then we have our Norcold fridge. You can go ahead and set the mode, so if you wanted it to be electric or use that propane, again, that 25-gallon propane tank, you can go ahead and set that here depending on what kind of traveling you're doing. If you're doing a lot of boondocking, it's nice having your refrigerator being able to change the settings there. And as we move down, we have our Whirlpool microwave here. And directly below that, we have our 3-burner cooktop and a nice little handy dandy oven. Some people actually come in here a lot and they're kind of disappointed that doesn't have one. So this one does have one, and it's kind of becoming a little rare now to see that in motorhomes, but this one has it. 3 long drawers. We have some extra paint here, and then this is one of the TV remotes. And then underneath the sink here, pretty spacious. We have 2 rectangular sinks there, perfect for a wash and rinse. Again, this coach is just fully set up for any type of adventures as far as boondocking, to kind of, you have the utmost options to kind of help reserve not only water capacity, but also battery power. Nice through and through here for those bigger pots and pans for all the cooking needs. And then we do have that upgraded kitchen window. This one's actually more so like it's an actual blind here. So you can go ahead and bring that down. I was messing with it earlier. There we go. So gives you a nice little feel here, but this is one of the ones that you'll have to tie down, so you will kind of hear the rattling going down the road. So I always recommend just putting it up, but it's a smaller window, so not much heat will get in. All right, we'll continue on here. So we have our nice little couch. This does turn into a bed. I would kind of say more of like a full, but you could sleep 2 more people here. So that makes it so far a total of 4. And then more storage up above here. You got some charging right next to the window. And then while you guys are checking that out, I'm gonna go ahead and prop up the televator. And then we'll finish off the living area. Right over here is where we have our booth dinette. Again, nice little 3 windows. I love just the whole aesthetic of this. When that TV's down, you have a nice ledge here. Perfect to put some plants or any other, like some books or anything that you want. And then you have some charging over there as well. The cool thing about this booth dinette, it's a little longer. So when you do put it into, you know, a sleeping area, it doesn't have to be like a toddler, in my opinion. So I like how it's a little bit more spacious when you're sitting, and then also for a sleeping area. In addition to it being a booth dinette and a sleeper, you do have some storage underneath here. And then this is just our Newmar handbook that we put in here. So you can kind of deep dive into all the electronics and everything that this coach has to offer. And then we just have our light switches right here with our fan that we can turn on and off for above our kitchen. So if it got a little smoky while we're cooking in here, you can go ahead and get that taken care of right away. Alrighty. Sliding on over here, this is where our power disconnect is. So you just go ahead, I'm not gonna do it because everything's gonna turn off, but you just go ahead and turn that red dial there. Next to it, we have our Xantrax, and then underneath that, we just have our power control system. So you can kind of go through everything to kind of check your water heater, your AC, the front and rear, and then also generator and stuff like that. Right over here, we have our 2 controllers for our slide outs. So that was gonna be the 2 front, that full wall slide, and then the one that has the booth dinette. This right here is just a nice little step override. So as you guys noticed, the door was closed, but the steps were out. So when it's flipped up, it's gonna kind of keep it in a camp mode for you. But if you want those steps to come in every time you close the door, you go ahead and just push that down. You probably couldn't have heard that, but they did just go ahead and retract. And then we just have our awning lights. You just flip the switch, turn it on and off. And then we have our Carefree controller just to retract and extend it. You do have to turn it on in order to use it, so it's kind of just like a little safety mechanism built in it. And then you can go ahead and turn it off when it's not in use. This is kind of a little cool thing about the door. You can go ahead and have a little blackout screen too. Any way to keep all the heat out. Today's gonna be really hot, so I was trying to kind of keep it as cool in here as possible. And then we just have some more right when you walk out the door. You have more lights. So if you kind of forgot to turn them off in that bigger control panel, it's kind of nice because you could just use 2 buttons to turn them all on, and then the last 2 to turn them all off. It's kind of just like a little cheat code. And then you have your patio lights right here, as well as a fire extinguisher right next to the door as well. Since we're already right here in our passenger seat, these do swivel around, so you can go ahead and create another seating area if you wanted to go ahead and entertain people inside because it's too hot, it's raining, too cold, whatever the conditions may be. These are kind of nice because they do kind of recline back. You can prop up your feet. So in a way, it's kind of having a theater seat without having one, just because if you need to sleep at least 4 people, the couch is kind of the only way to do that as far as sleeping 4 adults. So you still kind of have this as kind of a lounger or a lazy boy in a way. I'm gonna go ahead and scoot over here just so I can show you some other cool things that the passenger seat has to offer. So you have a nice little table. It's not as awkward as the other ones, typically in the diesels. It's kind of hard to unfold it and smack it down, and most people honestly just get them removed. So this one's kind of like a nice easy 2-in-1. If you aren't going to use it, at least you have a nice little ledge, and then you have the cup holder, and you have the utmost charging right over here as well. And then you also have a little switch for your own light. And then you just have your own little fan here that you can turn on. There is one on either side, and then some storage up above. And that last one I'll get to in a second. But plenty of overhead storage. This is another cool thing too that will fold out into a little table. So when you do have both of these chairs swiveled into an entertaining position or camp ready position, you can go ahead and pull this out and it will flip up into a decent sized table. So I hate having like sitting somewhere and you have a drink and you kind of have to hold it hostage and it just gets warm in your hand. So I like having that in between these 2 seats. And then up here is just some stuff for where you can put your receivers, satellites, dishes, and all that kind of stuff in here. That's why it kind of has the little glass instead of the wood. Alrighty, now we're just gonna prop down in here. I'm not going to actually turn the chassis on just because there's no LED dash or anything crazy like that you really need to see. So I'm just going to go ahead and start to the left over here. We have our leveling jacks. So at the push of a button, you have to power it on first, of course. You can go ahead and level out the whole coach with just a push of a button. You have your cup holder here. As you can see, this is glowing because this is our generator. So we do have that running, and we also have a battery boost. So for some reason our house batteries are dead, we can't start that generator, then we can go ahead and use our chassis batteries to jump our house batteries or vice versa. So it's really nice in a pinch to kind of have a built-in jump start system, I guess. And then here is just for our fans. You have the high or low setting, or in the middle as it is now. It's just going to go ahead and be off. This will turn our dome lights on. As you can see, it kind of got a little brighter in here. And then these are just for our mirrors, so we can go ahead and turn that heat on, so the defrost, and then this is how we kind of set that mirror in a position that is best suited for us. Wireless charger, hazard lights, some nice AC here to kind of cool you down. We have a USB down below here. Sorry, I can't see what this button is. Oh, this is for your camera, so you can go ahead and select the camera over to push that. Right over here is for our shade, so this is the only one that's going to be electric. These two side ones are manual. And then we just have all of our AC and heating, again, defrost for the windshield and everything up here. Nice little cubby, and then we have our big touch screen for our radio and GPS and all that good stuff. So we have the Sirius XM. It is compatible with CarPlay and Android. And I'm sorry, as far as GPS, it's the one that's built into your phone. I don't want anyone getting confused. And then we have just our, turn that off, sorry. Our cameras here. And then we can just use that button I showed you earlier to kind of flick through all of our camera settings out here to go to driver and passenger. So it's kind of nice having a little built-in security system in a way. You hear a weird noise, you can go ahead and just jump up front here without having to go outside. Alrighty. I don't think I missed anything as far as up here of what I really wanted to hit today. So if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, I'd be happy to answer any questions, send you the actual MSRP sheet. But again, this is new and it's 2024. So we're very motivated to get it going and find its new home. So feel free to give me a call at my information below, which is 970-388-7937. Thanks again for tuning in and have a great day.